Hey guys, what's up? This is Koganinja, and I'm back with another video. This time today, I'm going to be talking about the grip, okay? The overhand or the three-finger grip, okay? This is the grip that I use. This is the grip that I learned with, and I'm not changing. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to hold dice. There's a whole bunch of gripping methods, the whole nine yards. As a matter of fact, I was out at the casino the other day, and I saw this guy who was stacking the dice like that. He was setting for the hard way. He was stacking the dice, and then he would toss the dice, and it was cool because the dice would go in the air, and then they would turn onto themselves, and then they would hit, and they'd bounce off the back wall. And let me tell you, this guy had a hand that went into the 20s. It was awesome, and there was a ton of money on that table that night. Well over $7,000-8,000 in a matter of minutes went through that table. It's pretty incredible. And I sat there and I watched the whole thing. The guy had the dice easily for, I would say, 25 to 30 minutes. It was pretty incredible. So for any of you naysayers out there that don't believe that a controlled shot is possible, I will tell you firsthand, I've seen it myself, and if you believe that it doesn't work, you are absolutely 100% wrong. I've seen it, I know it works, and it's quite unbelievable when you see it. So, all right, so today, what I'm gonna talk to you about is the grip, okay? And this is the grip that is most common with dice-controlled shooting, okay? And that is basically the three fingers over the top and then the thumb on the back, okay? That is the grip, okay? Now, it's very, very important that as a controlled shooter that you get your grip down, simply because it is absolutely, in my opinion, the grip is the most important part of the whole eight physical principles of a dice-controlled shot. The grip, I believe the grip is the most important, okay? Because if the grip is not correct, as soon as they leave your hand, you're going to experience problems. The dice are going to start falling off of axis. They're going to start tumbling onto each other. All kinds of bad things are going to happen when they hit the table. They're gonna go flying bananas, which is I call it Ying out, or flying bananas. It's basically when the dice they hit the table, and then they go poof, and they spear out like a Y like that and end up in either side of the dice rig. That's what I call flying bananas or the Ying out. So you'll experience all kinds of different problems if you do not have a proper grip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you, show you the grip that I use, okay? And it's the one that is basically right out of the book, but I'll just go over it and so you guys can see it. If you missed it, well, here it is. Okay, so the idea is basically this. You, again, are the back wall, okay? So what happens is what I'm going to do is I'm going to be coming up and I'm going to be setting my fingers. I want my fingers to be absolutely straight across, okay? Now there's a couple of things you can do. You can tap your fingers, onto the table like this and level them out, straighten them out. And then you can come and then grip the dice, okay? What I do, that's one way you can do it. What I do basically is and remember, all this is done with one hand. You cannot touch the dice with two hands. You can only do it with one. So what I do is I put my hand and I put it right, I put the middle finger right onto the seam of both of the dice while my thumb is behind, okay? And then what I do is with these two fingers, I push inward like this with these two fingers onto the corner of the dice. And what this is doing is I'm pushing the dice together so that they stick, okay? So what's happening is I'm pulling with these two fingers, and then with this finger, with the thumb, applying pressure this way. So there's 3 pressures that are happening here. There's these 2, and then this one, okay? And then the one in the middle that's holding the seam, it's just a guide. It's just holding itself there. It doesn't even really have any pressure. See? There it is. I'm doing it without the middle finger, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm squeezing those dice completely together so that they stick together. Then I reapply the finger and lift up and then reset my fingers on the dice, okay? So I want to have them straight across like that, okay? And then what I do is I readjust so that those fingers are going right across just like that, okay? And they're even and straight across. They're even and they're straight across right here, okay? Then what I do is back here, my thumb, you'll actually see that my thumb actually goes down about to the halfway point. So it's not on the same part where this is. It's actually a little further down on the middle of the dice, okay? So it's right where the one's at, just like that, okay? Right across the one. And I'm using the full fleshy part of my thumb, okay? I don't want it crooked. I don't want it off to the side. I want it right across the bottom, right across the pad of my thumb. And the reason why is because if you apply one side of your thumb puts too much pressure on one side of the die, it's going to kick that die off of axis, and vice versa. So you want to make sure that it's straight across. Okay, so I will set the dice so you can see them, so you can see the grip. Okay, there's the front. Okay. There's the side. And you'll notice that my thumb is a little further down from my fingers, okay? And then there's the back, okay? All right, just like that. Now, and at this point, I want to make sure that my hand is straight up and down, okay? Okay, and now the pinky can either stay out. The pinky can either stay out, or you can just apply it to the inside, but just lightly touch the inside. Then I set the dice. Now my back wall is going this way now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the dice, and I'm going to, if I can, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly put the dice onto the table. Okay. Just the edge, very, very lightly. That way I know that when the dice take off, I'm squared to the table. And you have to have everything squared to the table. You got to have the dice in your hand, and everything has to be squared to the table. Okay? And there you go. And then from there, it's just a matter of either coming back and launching, or launching straight off the table, which is what I do. I don't do a backward swing anymore. I do just a forward launch. And the reason why I don't go back this way and then launch is simply because that adds extra motion and momentum and energy to the dice. By going back, it's like winding up and then throwing. And for me, I have noticed that my shots are worse when I do this, because I put too much energy behind the dice. Okay? And so when they hit the table and then bounce off the back wall, they're all over the place. Okay? So what I tend to do is I just hold them lightly, press against the table, I square up to the table, square up to the back wall, and then I just launch. Just like that. And it's just a pulling motion with my hand. Just pull my arm, I allow from my elbow down, I just pull and just let them go. And then the pressure that I'm holding on the dice, is very light, okay? There's a little bit, I mean, it's just, I'm barely holding on to those dice, okay? Remember, the least amount of contact with the dice in the front, the better. So that way when the dice come off, They just launch into the air. They just roll out of your hand into the air. Well, now what I also tend to do, like I said, getting back to the thumb back here, I push it down a little bit. And the reason why I do that is because it actually takes out a little bit of momentum and energy from the dice. In other words, it takes off the backspin a little bit. And contrary to popular belief that spinning the dice faster in the air to make them look pretty is not the way to go, because when they hit, they're going to fly all over the place, and you don't want that. You just want them to touch down lightly and bounce off the back wall. Okay, so what I do is I allow that thumb to sit right there, just very, very lightly, and it's again on the halfway point of the dice. And what that does is it allows the hand, it allows the dice to kick off the back thumb just ever so slightly, so that the rotation on the dice is anywhere between 2 to 6 rotations. Anything more than that, you're adding too much energy and too much backspin to the dice, and I guarantee you when they hit, it's not going to be pretty. So contrary to popular belief, more backspin's better. That's not true. Okay, and so that's basically it, and it's just a launch. So there you go, guys. That's how I'm holding my throw, and I launch out. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'll see you soon on the next installment. Thanks, guys. Take it easy, and goodbye.